hear it for your Sydney Swans.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there, you just can't get enough of the red and the white.
Fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
G'day there, Signets and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined as always by the boys from Sydney. I am Chris and this is Noddy.
That's right, you lucky loyal Swans fans. In this episode, we're going to be chatting about the frustrating loss against the Tigers. And remember, if you like our stuff, make sure to give us a follow. Okay, let's kick off with a quick game recap.
Right, last Sunday afternoon in front of 45,000 fans at the MCG, we were defeated by the Richmond Tigers by 5 points with a final score of 11-16-82 to 11-11-77. Those 5 behinds becoming in well handy for the Tigers. Mate, Noddy, first impressions, let's get stuck into it. A bit disappointing, but what did you see?
Oh, just so frustrating. It was just wasn't typical of us, and it was so close. We certainly didn't play our best, but, you know, I mean, look, the silver lining is we only just lost, right? And so a few other things go our way, a few of those 50-50 calls go our way, and we would have won the game. So, look, I don't know, is it better to have lost and have played poorly, or won and have played like that? So, look, I don't know. Don't want to get too philosophical, but it was bloody frustrating.
Well,
I mean, how about you, mate?
Look, I would take a win no matter how you get it, but I feel exactly what you're saying. Like, it's a real fall from grace, isn't it? Like, it's down to reality. We've been on such a high, beating some pretty well-established teams in the Demons, Collingwood. It's just getting to where we are now. We're losing against the Tigers. It just felt really rough because of the way we played. It was skill errors, you pointed out, during the week. It was just some weird calls in different ways, some errant kicks, some, slippery hands along the way. Just really tough game to watch. And it's one of those games where you watch the replay and you were genuinely screaming at the freaking TV because you're like, especially watching the replay, you're like, oh no, this thing's going to happen again. And you watch it, you're like, jeez. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's really tough to take in, but at the same time, we're still in a decent position. We're still seeing some really good things by some key players in the team. And we managed to blood a couple, and in one in particular, Callum Mitchell, with some success. So all in all, I'm still very positive on where we are, but this one was a tough game to watch, mate.
Look, the Tigers played well. Like, I think, everyone have to acknowledge that. Everyone's you start with they played really, really well. They did their homework and they executed their game plan really well. And look, I don't know, is it too soon to talk about whether the Wicks effect had anything to do with this? I know that Horse was very quick to pass that. He brushed that off very quick. I'm not going to go into it. That was the last question of the presser, and I'm just not going to go into it. So look, maybe it had an effect, maybe it didn't. We're going to get into it. We may as well now. I mean, our pressure was off. Our tackles were just, let's go through the numbers, mate. We've got them. We did some number crunching. What was it? What are the percents?
So we were 25% under our average. So that's a quarter underneath where we normally would be. And the Tigers were 20% over their average.
Right. So we're well unders. They're batting above. We were minus 15 tackles and minus 10 in inside 50 tackles. That is, I don't know, huge, mate. Like, we were looking at you've done the numbers there. We were +8 and +1 against Essendon, +21 and +3 against Collingwood, -2 and -11, funnily enough, against Melbourne, who were 24 inside 50 tackles when we played them. But the pressure rating was there, right? So even if we lost the tackle count, we're doing the 1%ers, we're spoiling, all those little things. But this game, everything was off, wasn't it? And I don't know, we had players slipping over at several points throughout the first half. I know Polly was like, why is everyone slipping over? But I don't know, it's just, it was very un-Sydney-like of this year and probably of recent, modern time. I mean, like, you know, you can usually bank on the fact that Sydney's going to be hard at the ball, and we just weren't. And their pressure in our face causing us to miss targets, to miss handballs, all these chase down tackles. Brett pointed out, he's like, you know, we must have not been able to hear a thing because, you know, 6 or 7 times we've been chased down from behind and there's no communication there. I don't know. So
no, mate, I'm with you. Like you pointed out just before, like we're only 4 inside 50 tackles for us. Like, where was the pressure? Where's Wicks? Like, that's the guy we needed in that forward line.
Or Hayward even. Like what?
Or Hayward. Or those fellas. Or like, I know Corey kind of came in a bit later. But
Papley, although he's not really known for his... I mean, he can apply pressure. I mean...
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. We can't point fingers at anyone because the point is we played well below than what we know we can play, and we
even
still
average,
only lost by 5 points.
True.
So
that's a good point.
It's not like you know the season's over. We're still 3-1. I think a lot of Swans fans, and this pissed me off. Everyone was just banking this win, right?
I know.
They were just going
out to the Facebook crew out there. And just general Swans fans, stop banking wins. Don't do that. No win is guaranteed. This is the AFL. Every single player on that field wants to win, right? Every one of them. And any given day in this AFL game, in this modern game, they can win. Now, I used to always put a caveat on that saying the Wiggles. But we are playing the Wiggles this week. And we cannot bank that win. They're going to throw everything at it. All those kids want to win. So why should we pretend like we don't? Go in all the way. I
just think it's a very fickle and dangerous game to think you're guaranteed to win in the AFL. It's just you're playing with fire there, and this is what happened. You know, they came out with intent. And, you know, they had basically a team of role players, right? I mean, their backline was decimated. They did a number on us in their backline.
They nailed it.
Where was it? So their average age was about the same, 25 years, 8 months. I was marginally older, 25 year, 1 month. But we had, plus 15? Almost plus 15 average games, right? So they had 10 players of less than 50 games. We had 5. Whereas we had 9 between 50 and 99, they had 3. So anything 100 games and above was about comparable between the two sides. So they were as inexperienced, or they were more inexperienced. They had less experience than us, right? But they brought it. Their role players brought it. All these guys like Mansell, Campbell, Morris, Rioli Jr., their young backline, Brown and whatever his name was, Young, although he's not too young, but. I don't know. Look, I don't know. It was so frustrating because, look, it was a pretty close first quarter. Second quarter was ours. Yep. Third quarter was theirs. And then it was kind of the fourth quarter was about the same, but they ramped up total arm wrestle. They ramped up their pressure. We didn't take our chances. 50-50 calls. I mean, you don't want to bang on about umpire calls,
look,
but come on.
I don't know if anyone out there has listened to the podcast long enough. I have been the biggest detractor away from even talking about umpires and what they can perform in a game. Noddy, would you agree?
Yes, I'd agree. I would also say that I'm probably the opposite.
Yes. And I've always been the one to have to hold Noddy back and go, mate, it's not always their fault, which not that Noddy suggests it's always their fault, but he does call out when
some games,
of course.
Yeah.
And rightly so, to be fair, like that.
Yeah.
I want to, but I'm also, my logical mind tells me you can't. But this game, watching it again and just seeing some of these decisions, like these trips that weren't there, like these head highs against Papley in that fourth, I think is the most greatest example where nothing was there. In the most unopportune time, that should have been holding the ball and that would have been us kicking from 20 in front, right? And there was a number of those, the trips and all these other freaking calls in the game that I'm just like, none of it's there. Rowie tackles 2 guys holding the ball back to back, no call. And it's just, there's so many of these examples. Like, it's very hard to see it from a really neutral perspective. But I'll say this much. The game wasn't umpired great. I mean, this whole season's not been umpired great, just generally from all the games I've been watching. But this one I felt I actually did have a detractor to the Swans in particular. And this could be purely biased red and white eyes talking about it, but it felt that way.
I think there's a bit of that.
Calling it out
like,
now.
If it's coming from you, then there's probably bias. But if it's coming from me, there's definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I agree with you. Like, it was one of those games where, because the free kick count was about the same, right? But it was the weight of the calls and when they came, and then the effect, right? I'm not saying we were guilty. Obviously, we've already spoken about how our skills, let us down. Kicking from kick-ins that led to 2 goals, basically. Roberts and Blakey, who are normally beautiful kicks, right? But that's what pressure does, right? It just gets in your head, and otherwise, beautiful kicks of the footy are missing their target, and then bang, you got 2 goals against you. These are different points of the game, but that's 2 goals right there, right? But then these other 50-50 calls that also led to goals, you're thinking, oh man. So then, in the end, to only lose by 5 with all these things, going against us. I mean, we haven't even really spoken about Rampy out, right? So, the great backman, he goes down with a hammy sometime in the second quarter, I think.
We unraveled at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Felt like that.
I'm probably halfway through the third we're in it, or whenever they started, they got a run on, right? And Lynch was huge. I mean, you have to really give him credit, because he was plucking everything. He was kicking. His goals, 3 goals, I think, came in the first and the third, but he was huge in the third. And the combination of McCartan and Melican just couldn't stick with him. And, he ended up going down as well, a bit like Rampy. But I don't know. I just think that we lost something in Rampy going. We lost structure. We lost experience. We lost a little bit of cool headedness back there. I don't know.
A bit of definitely the structure kind of, the wheels fell off a bit, it felt like. Very similar to against the Bombers when Cunners kind of came off. I felt as well that at that point the structure really took a beating, and it took a while for us to kind of find what positioning or whatnot. As it turns out, Florent went back there to kind of fill in for that Cunners role this week. But yeah, it doesn't. Losing Rampier was pretty big. Look, on the kick-ins piece, and something that's come up this week, Kane Corns, the troll that he is, that I kind of enjoys quietly, suggests that the kick-ins should not count as a stat because they inflate some stats.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Mate, you're a massive fan of stats and everything. What do you think?
That was the case for our Jake Lloyd this time. He was getting a lot of, especially in that first quarter. I think he had like a billion kick-ins, but. Look, it is what it is. It's basically a free kick, and
if you have to nail some kicks, is my point.
I mean, I think one thing that Jake Lloyd's good at is, he doesn't often do a risky kick because he doesn't really have one of those. He's got a dependable kick, and he knows where to put it, where it's going to be create a 50-50 play. Whereas the guys like Rampy and maybe Roberts too, and that wasn't a kick in. The kick I'm thinking of Roberts, it was a general play kick that went across the face of goal and got intercepted. But that was the thing. I guess it was just we this year we've been so good at intercept and pressure and trapping ball in our front half, and the Tigers just they just took our game and gave us a lesson on our game. And I don't know, it was just...
We really struggled to get a run on, So,
second quarter was good, as Steve-O pointed out. Watch the second quarter and a couple of minutes of the third, and that was about it. But
our ability to kind of run on with the ball and use it with speed as we're running out of our back line is something that we've really built a game on. And to get the ball coming in at speed into that inside 50, having defenders always being behind your man, and using the game against the Pies as the example where our forwards were just, 5 meters away from them. That was lost this week. That wasn't a position. Their backline had such a bigger effect on us because when we were going into our inside 50, we were having to nail these kicks rather than bring them in at speed. So they just seem to have done such a good job of putting the pressure on in the right place.
Yeah,
that we always ended up kind of then tripping over ourselves on the way through. It's quite an interesting approach, and I just wonder whether other teams are going to see this and be able to apply it. That's what I'm kind of concerned about.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, if you've got such a precise, kicking ability, but then you pressure the kickers, you get in their face, you force ground balls, you're catching them holding the ball, all sorts, right? That's when you cause the potential to lose, for the players to lose confidence, and that's where we're seeing it. You know, the kicks are spraying, they're not hitting their target, and so all of a sudden we lose our one wood. I don't know if it's one wood. It's probably not one wood. I think one wood is pressure. Our game is built off defense and pressure, and I guess we tried, but it just wasn't there. And that's the thing that I'm just still scratching my head over, because for us to do it so well consistently for 3 weeks, and then this week come in and a team that's been under pressure. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the flip side, right? We had a bit of turmoil through the week, and I think everyone, you know, as we've touched on, everyone thought we were going to just bank this, whereas the Tigers hadn't. 0-3. They're playing at home. The new coach still hasn't had a win, and they got a lot and they got all their players out, so they got all these youngsters who are hungry, and it was a perfect storm for things to go wrong. And I mean, look, it could have been that we lost by 40, and that would have been, you know,
devastating.
Not as devastating, but not as frustrating as losing by 5, I guess. But
yeah. Because you're right, we missed our chances as well. And the Tigers played well, and we missed our chances, and we weren't playing our best. So it was a combination of those three that kind of gives us this sense of frustration, I guess.
I mean, we did some good things. Right? I mean, you know, it was a game of momentum swings. Really, you know, it was pretty even contest. A few frustrating things in the first quarter. Second quarter, it was our way. I think we kicked five on the trot, and then it swung their way. They kicked 5 or 6 on the trot in the third, and then fourth was just a nail-biting mess of emotions with all these bullshit calls. But look, so I don't know. Heaney was amazing again, I thought.
Man.
He's had another fantastic game doing what he does. Yeah. He probably had slightly fewer disposals this game. I think you've got the numbers there, but
29 touches, but it's pretty.
Oh, not really. So he's bang on again. So yeah, and 2 goals, four games in a row, Brownlow quality. Yeah, I mean, I fully agree, mate. So I mean, he just continues to just be an absolute rock, but he can't do everything, right? So, no. I mean, that's the thing in this game. Although Rowie, oh my God, how many tackles Rowie get? He got 200.
Another 13 tackle count game, so why not? Just a lucky 13.
Was it?
I think that's his second 13er for the year.
I think, was it this game? Well, all the numbers are, we're only 4 games in, and all the numbers are starting to merge into one as they do. But I think it was this game where the next highest tackle, the tackle count was 6. So he's literally the next highest tackler is Liam Baker with 6, and he's doubled that on his own. Yeah, more than he's a freak. And I mean, 4 more years, Rowie.
4 more years. Let's talk about it now. So Rowie signed on the 4 years. We found out this morning. I mean, from embracing his role. So when he was into that inside, when he was playing the inside mids, and he was kind of getting his way through it, they kind of gave him a role of your job is pressure, your job is to put tackles on, just nail it. And he went out there that next week, and he just started doing it. And this is towards the end of 2022, I'd say mid 2022 probably. And he's just kind of run with that. And last year, of course, we tracked it throughout the year here in the bevy. Won the tackle count for the year over Brett Kirk and Parker. So this year he's ahead of his average from last year already, and he just keeps doing it. But he's also doing it with the ball. So the quality of him, the amount of times that he saved and got himself a mark, a contested mark or an uncontested mark in the back line over there, just to help move the ball forward, put a bit of pressure on without that 1%er without getting a tackle on. He was really, really good. And I dare say, let's just get into it. Bob Medal, no surprises.
I was just gonna say, it was. I think it's great reward for the role he's playing and the way he's doing it. And it's backed up in the best and fairest, right? He got 3rd and 23, 3rd and 22. Didn't poll in 21, but he got 7th in 2020. So it's been building, right? And now he's one of our most consistent performers week to week, and league leading tackler. Just what you're going to get, gets the job done. So I'm just stoked for him, and as a fan, I'm really stoked that he's on for another 4 years, and
such a good kid too, isn't he?
Definitely. Just really good head on his shoulders, and he just sort of personifies what Bloods footy is about. And Yeah. So anyway, mate, I stole you. You were going to talk about the Bob
even
medal.
even if he is related to BT, he's a great bloke, great kid.
We don't have that against him.
Well, I know. Look, the only reason I'm bringing it up because we spoke about Heaney, we spoke about Browie. Like it just so happens. So let's get stuck into the Bob medal. The Bob medal is our equivalent of the Bob Skilton medal. We give 3, 2, 1 points out to the best players in each game. You all know the spill. Heaney, of course, 3 points for Heaney. No discussion there. Do you want to add anything else, mate?
No, I'm good, mate.
Done.
Same with Rowie.
Yep, yeah. Rowie, 2 points for Rowie, as we just banged on about how good he was there. Now, when we got to 1 point, and this is maybe telling of where we are, we had a couple of names that were kind of thrown around. So the two that we landed on was Fox and Grundy. Now, we haven't made up our minds yet, so we're going to kind of pad it out right now and see where we end up. Maybe I'll throw it to you, Noddy. What did you choose either one of those players, and how did you feel their game was? Would you want to make a pitch for one or the other, or pitch for both for that matter?
Oh, look, I don't know, mate. I think as Brett pointed out, I mean, I'll do a bit on both, or do you want me to just take one?
Oh, do whatever you want, mate. Go for it.
All right, yeah. So look, I think Brett called it. Like Grundy got pretty worked over again for most of the game, but came really good in the last quarter and was quite influential. As we very nearly snatched it from them. But I thought Fox had more moments. The thing that comes to mind is that amazing, Specky he took over Nankervis and then kicked the goal right on, I think, half-time it was. Yep. But and so, look, I don't know. I mean, but that's not really saying much either, like one moment and one quarter. But it was one of those games where there weren't too many standouts. I mean, I think, other than Heaney and Rowie, I think, obviously Lloyd racked it up as we've touched. He got a fair few cheap disposals there, but did carry the weight of responsibility when Rampy went off. But yeah, I don't know, mate. Who do you think between Fox and Grundy to get one?
Look, I just know that Nankervis is one of the elite ruckmen going around. He is brilliant, and although it looked like Grundy was worked over in certain aspects of the game, he kept his own. So in hitouts, he was equal with Nankervis at 21. In tackles, he was, I think, our third best tackler. Yes, he was, with 4 tackles for the game. Score involvements, he got himself involved there. I think it was 4 again or so. And contested possession, 10 contested possession. So which equaled up with Rowie and was better than Chad, Papley, and Gordon. So I think I would say that Grundy on paper had a really good game, whereas on the eyes, it seemed like he was having to struggle hard to get those numbers. But then when you look at his actual output in the end, you're like, wow, he actually did get plenty of the football and did plenty with it. So I'd be pitching, although I agree with you, like Foxy's moments.
I think I've come round. I think I agree with you. I think it's Grundy.
All right, let's do it. I do agree with you, though, that Foxy had his moments.
Foxy had some good moments. Yeah, some good moments.
Definitely, yeah. All right, cool. So there we go.
That's
Grundy with the 1 point.
Yeah, nice one. I just want to mention, I want to talk about Caleb Mitchell here.
Please, yes.
Look, it was his debut. Not too many people know too many things about him. So when I went out and watched the Lions game at Bankstown, he went on at halftime and had a kick with Will Edwards, and they were just doing a warm up, muck around kick sort of thing, just getting their eye in and doing a bit of dynamic stretching or whatever it's bloody called. He just has a beautiful left kick, and it looks exactly like the action of Bontempelli. And he doesn't have the height of him, although I think he might still be growing, but he's one of those players that's got that kind of one of those loping running styles, and he doesn't seem to have too much foot speed, and he obviously got caught when he was out in the open there and was loading up to go long.
Wings are a hard place to not have speed on.
There's
a lot of room out there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I wonder if he might actually end up being more of an inside. But look, I think overall for a first gamer, that was a pretty solid game. Like, he bobbed up a fair few times at really important times of the game. Whether he got held that one time, but then got that one kick forward that ended up Goulden getting that last goal that got us within 5. I just thought it was very pleasing to see him get that reward, the debut, and then do quite well in a pretty stressful environment. To be honest, like it was obviously a high pressure game, but whether or not he holds or goes back to the VFL and kicks on, we don't know. But it was good to get another game into one of our young bloods.
And I'm pretty warm on him. I was super happy the way it went. I did see some people around the trap, some Swans fans that were trashing him because he got caught. I'm like, he played an incredible game for a first timer. Like he was just a goal away from like being an excellent game, as you said, in a high pressure, quick game, and he's only just having to learn what AFL speed's all about. Yeah, he'll be better for this.
A lot of our more experienced players got caught.
Yeah.
So 100%. I mean, I don't know why you would.
Why would you claim that as being the reason? No, that's right.
Well, I mean, he's a first gamer, so you kind of half expect it, but I just think if that's his debut game, I think there's a lot of positive, a lot of good things to come and lot to look forward to.
You've been warm about him for a while, so it's good to see him.
I have, I wasn't sure because he bobbed up in the preseason as well, and I think he'd had a haircut, and I was trying to figure out who it was, and
you're like, is that Matty Roberts?
Yeah,
except for a haircut.
He looks very similar in that. One's 34 and one's 35.
I know, they're not doing us any favours, eh? Like.
Yeah, that's right. They're like the red-headed rat pack. But look, or the strawberry blonde brigade, let's call
strawberry
them that.
blondes is what they are.
The beautiful left peg clan, or whatever we want to go with. But look, I don't know, mate. What have we missed? They had a couple of injuries. I guess we could say that. They went all out, and now Lynch, who was influential, is out for quite a while, as it sounds, and Bolter as well. Baker on Melican 1 week. Is that enough?
Look, it's clear as day, and I've got a couple of points to say here. So it's clear as day that the outcome determines the penalty. So the very similar thing happened to Cunningham, of course, by Peter Wright. Peter Wright gets 4 weeks. Cunningham gets knocked out cold. Has to sit out 2 games. Or 1 game, really, isn't it? Because it's a 10-day break.
12 and...
Is it 12 days?
Yeah. I think he's a test for the Eagles game. Yeah.
So then Baker does worse off, but he was running back at the ball, and he did not look at the ball at one point during that thing. Watch the replay. He just laid into Melican.
It was brutal.
Melican just bounces pretty like
he's bigger than him. That's he's bigger than Baker, right? So
so he kind of got himself up, went off, and been like, whatever. I think I got hit by a fly, but the outcome determines it. Now, I was always under the impression the action is what we're penalising because we're trying to remove the action from the game. But it's clear as day now that the outcome is just an easy thing to police on. And someone on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was, gave this analogy. If you go through a red light, you get a $300 fine. If you go through a red light and you T-bone someone and you cause major injury, you go to jail. And so you use that analogy. I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, and so there's something there, but I'm still not convinced that's the right direction either.
I hadn't heard that before. That's I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I'm kind of I'm still tossing up in my mind whether I agree with this outcome determining the penalty, but at the same time, it is what it is. So, for instance, Pendlebury punches Neil square in the stomach, nowhere near the ball. Open palm. What do you call it? 1 inch Jackie Chan open punch.
It looked a bit like that, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? the old tiger palm punch.
If anyone can do it, Pendles can.
Pendles can do it. Did you know he played basketball? Anyway,
he played basketball, and do you know he doesn't eat chocolate because his body's a temple. He hits a concrete wall, open palm, every day.
Yeah, he meditates every day, 5 hours. So he can punch a bloke in the stomach and no problem. But if he punched him and he broke a rib, I'd suggest that he'd be sitting off a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? So I think there's something in all of this. I don't know. So yeah,
the other thing is,
whatever.
I was in the game as well, and we haven't heard anything to think otherwise. But I was worried that there might have been a little bit of extra pressure on Melican to obviously play on because Rampy's out. We lost that structure. obviously the double tall wasn't working really anyway, but I wonder if one fewer tall and it may have led to more goals. I don't know. So I was wondering if he did cop a whack but I mean, he would have been tested by the doctors and they would have ruled him out if he had shown any concussion symptoms. But a small little cynical part of me was wondering if he had to play on because we were caught short
in that
there.
space.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think so. I think we're pretty good with that stuff, especially after the Paddy McCartan experience and others. So anyway,
all right, we're going a bit long for time, mate. Let's kind of touch on a couple of points here. Rampy's out. Cunningham comes back in, we presume.
Yeah, potentially if he's clear.
Yep.
If he's clear of concussion symptoms, I guess.
Now we don't have anyone else that we necessarily want to name into that back line that I think of. Like Arnold is not quite there yet, I suspect. So
Arnold, yeah, he's got a stress fracture in his back. He'll be out for quite a while, unfortunately, because he could have been in the mix. Hamling didn't play the VFL last week because he had flu. Francis was an emergency, but because of Hamling, dropped back to the VFL and played a mix of key defence and key forward. Will Edwards is still there. Young Snell is going to be a real player. Actually, I think Snell's going to be fantastic.
Snell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, mate. Like I think if Cunners is fit and Melican's okay, you probably just go with that.
With what we've got, yeah.
Yeah, but it will depend on Cunningham, and I think, and then also I guess if Wicks is coming in, then you could potentially put Fox back there for that Rampy role.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, even though he's been doing so well as a pressure forward.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think Foxy can go back into his old spot, although seeing what we saw this week in that he didn't take up that spot straight off the bat tells us that they're hell-bent on him being there in that forward line. But but against the Weagles, like, where do we need to play the pressure as well? Like,
I think we need to bring our best possible team out and play our best type of footy. I mean, they've confirmed Taylor Adams will get his debut after a good couple of quarters in the VFL. So that's awesome for him and the club. So someone, I guess, has got to come out there, unless he's the in for Rampy, and we think we can hold the structure there.
As you said there, like Caleb, Corey, like Taylor Adams, does he go into the forward line like we predicted he might do? Like,
they might just shift.
Our mids have been they're solidified now. It's Heaney, Rowie, Warner, and with Papley kind of rolling in and out. So let's see where we end up. But you think that Taylor Adams kind of has a go in there? Like, we definitely need some extra input of a bit of leadership in those mids. So that's something where we need to work on.
Definitely, yeah. We need some age. I mean, Heaney's the only one really who's over 24. He's 27. Everyone else is 23 and younger. So it's just, it doesn't help with the age, but it's a shame Gus Sheldrick is not fit right now because he would have. I know
he'd be having absolutely proper crack at it, wouldn't he?
Yeah. But it's going to probably come down to Caleb or Corey. You've even mentioned Campbell or Jordan, which could also could play out. If they
rest or something at some point.
Need a rest or a recharge. But we haven't spoken about the forwards, have we? The three talls. I thought Doss had a quiet game by his standards.
So too, yeah. He seemed to be rattled a little bit almost.
Yeah, he looked a bit. Yeah, he did, didn't he? He did.
Which is really unusual for him because he's normally the one who's the most consistent in terms of just he doesn't seem to be rattled by anything. And like when he misses a kick from right in front and he nails one from 60 out, he's just that kind of guy.
Yeah. I think Amadi, I thought we kind of said this, like we assumed that, these three, because Logan's a fair few years younger. He's 21. And these other guys are 24, 25, I think. So that's a fair bit of development ahead. But we're even with that difference, we're assuming that 1 week one player is probably going to have a better game, or one or two are going to play better than the other, and then we think it's going to revolve. We don't know who it is, but it was clear that it was like Logan and Amadi that probably played a bit better this game, and Hayden, while he tried hard, probably. Yeah, he wasn't the only one to miss a target right and slip over. So, we're not singling him out at all. But I don't know. I guess that's the question. Are we too slow?
I think we're too. I really do think we've been too slow. I would like to see us kind of inject a bit more. I know with Papley, Papley's not been himself as well. One thing we kind of pointed out last week as well. He's not been that flying. Against the Bombers, he was playing a deep forward. Like there's obviously something wrong that he's had to not take those centre bounces. Yeah,
I just want Papley to kick goals and stop trying to pass off. Like I know he's doing a team thing. But just I don't know. I feel like
take it on, Papley.
Take it on.
Take it on, Papley. That's why you're there.
Be the Toby Green.
Yes.
That he's on a totally different level of.
Yeah,
our Papley's not a grub. Let me just go on the record to say our Papley is a saint.
As far as the Tigers are concerned, they kept booing him every time he touched the ball. Like,
that's it. I think he's got that. He's got that perception from other clubs. Like he's a real, he's that kind of Ginnivan Green type divisive.
I mean, he's just
character.
Shit stirrer, but he's not a dirty player.
Nah,
I think that's the difference, right? He's not kicking guys in the face.
But in the way that Green and Ginnivan can go, yep, give me the ball, I'm kicking a goal. Yeah. He has. I mean, we know he can do it. He hasn't really done it. I mean, I'm forgetting. Was it last week? He kicked 3-1 or 4-1? I think it was 4-1. Yeah, 4-1, you forget things very quickly.
But again, even that was kind of from standing marks. I think 3 of them were from marks. Yeah. So I think he's not quite been himself, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was one to take a bit of a week off for a rest. That's what me personally saying. That.
I don't know, man. I think that it's too risky to rest players against the Eagles.
I agree.
Like I think everyone thought we were going to be 4-0 after the Tigers, 3-1. I think we'd rather be, 4-1 than risk any thought of 3-2 against the Eagles.
Yep. No,
I think we've got to pick our best side, but look, I think we'd probably end up just keeping this structure and just hope that the game plan comes back, the pressure comes back, and then that allows us to do the precision kicking and then all the running and the scoring and the fun times.
I would like if I was playing Magnet Man. Is that a term? Is that a thing? I don't know.
The man who throws magnets at the board.
The magnet thrower.
Yeah, you're the Magnet Man.
Have you heard of the Magnet Man?
Have you heard of the Magnet Man? He throws the magnets at the... I can see like you're just in the room and Horse is like, who let this bloke in?
Mate, get out of here. I'm just holding a bunch of magnets. So I would be having Haywood go deeper, taking those longer runs out, dragging guys out of that square, making room for it. I think we had some success with those 2 tall forwards with Amati and McLean. When they're out there, they're not necessarily the ones getting the ball, but they're the ones causing the chaos for the ball to hit the ground. And we've gone from Amati tapping the ball to the ground into position for some of the other guys to kick, to Amati going to mark the ball and against 2 other blokes, and we're not necessarily getting the ball. And we're kind of not getting as many shots as I predict we should be with the inside 50s in a game like this week as well. And Doss is part of it as well. So I'd like to see us go a bit quicker. I think we could have put away sides a bit faster as well. But hey, I'm not the Magnet Man.
Look, I want to be. If we had 24 or 23 Isaac Heaney's, I think everything would be...
That'd be pretty sweet.
It'd be fantastic. I mean... But it'd be hard for him because, it wouldn't be hard. It'd be easy. I guess he would just be winning more and more of the coaches' votes each week. But look, which is the leader still, I believe. But anyway, look, I don't know, mate. I think the point is we just got to go with our best team and bring our best game and not for a second take this easy, because the second you think it's easy is what happens. And look, who knows? Maybe Wicks comes back in. Maybe everything's all good. There's no more bad blood. There's only good bloods. There's high pressure bloods. That's what we want. High pressure bloods. Yep,
that's right.
That's what the doctor is. The doctor's saying we want high blood pressure.
That's right. We want high blood pressure.
Bloods. Another one, mate. Just quickly, I think Goulden and Logan McDonald are progressing in their contract talks, which is exciting.
Yep, and Ollie Florence as well, I've heard as well.
And Ollie, okay.
Yep.
Yep. And then obviously after that it's Haywood and JJ of the more important ones. But look, I mean, we all know I want 15 years for Errol. And I've said I think it was 2 to 4 or 3 to 5 for Logan. I think we do need to go pretty hard for Logan now with Jamara out. But Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be fun when they do get announced.
And to all
fingers
you
crossed.
folks out there that go like, oh, you guys are talking about bloody contracts too early in the season, mate. They're talking. We need to talk about them. Rowie just signed on for a 4-year deal, 4 games in, right? So it happens. So
Yep, it's happening.
this is necessary. This is part of business.
It's
We talk about it as
happening.
it happens. We get on with it.
Sydney for gather round.
Okay, so I mean, there's been a lot of chatter about gather round in Sydney. There was a chat that the Swans did internally, little podcasty thingy majiggy, where they asked Horse a bunch of pretty pointed questions about gather round and success he could have for New South Wales. The media were all asking Horse at nauseam about it yesterday, and I'm noticing more things going around. So I predict they're going to be like, yeah, I know Adelaide might have it for the next couple of years, but we're going to do some kind of split thing. And there's a piece of paper circling around the traps. It could be a total fake, but it looks like there may be some kind of combined gather round energy being tabled by the AFL to maybe share bits of it with Sydney. Because I don't know if any of you Victorians are paying attention, but the opening round in Sydney did nothing for the Sydney game. Like no one gave a shit. Okay, like it was just the opening round was great, but then all the media outlets would be like, "Oh, what a success it had." No one noticed in New South Wales.
Well, I think the people that would normally go to the footy went to the footy, but the city itself wasn't like buzzing, like
buzzing with the
Adelaide
energy.
does in the like whole spectacle thing. But it's because it was a different thing. It was just kind of like there are games being played.
There's
in
a
the
games
city.
being played here, whereas the other kind of game is not being played here. Okay, cool. That's it. There was no. There was not a single sign in the entire. Yeah, there's not a sign. There's not a bus stop with a face of anyone with any AFL pictures or anything or any marketing whatsoever. So it was a nothing. So I suspect that gather round's going to be something like that. So don't be surprised if Sydney gets a gather round or a slice of the gather round earlier than we predicted.
Yeah, I reckon these photos are legit, mate. They look pretty. They're pretty detailed. Like
The only problem is about those photos, they look like they've been faxed. No one uses faxes anymore. So that's why I'm calling it a bit of bullshit. Yeah, it looks like faxes that have been like smudged. You know, like, oh, look at this. It's a bit of a smudged fax. But like a fax hasn't been used since like 2006.
You'd see Bigfoot runs away from the fax machines. Like, look
You'd
out.
see Bigfoot running away with a fax machine in hand. That's more like
and then high fives the Loch Ness Monster on the way out. Like
exactly. Rides the Loch Ness Monster
hat.
to the other side. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, good
Look,
stuff.
who knows? They've got to restructure though, because 19 teams doesn't go evenly, and we're talking from 2028 onwards anyway for the Tassie inclusion. But yeah, mate. Obviously, the loss to the Tigers. We said we're 3-1. We're coming fifth. No, yes, we're coming fifth on percentage.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right. So first on points, equal points with the others, but fifth on percentage. So we're still in a great place.
Yeah.
Playing against a couple.
Great place.
teams.
This is the thing. We're actually we're still in a really great position. We only lost by 5 points. It's not, it's certainly not the end of the world. We started.
Everyone just calm down.
A lot worse last year, and still made a good fist. Good run of it. not good fist. That's the other way around.
That's just no, sure.
But anyway, yeah. So first things first. Obviously, we've got to take the Eagles seriously, and we've got to take them on and play our best footy. So we're almost there, mate. We're halfway through the week. Teams will be announced tomorrow.
Yep. First game on tomorrow. It should be fun.
That's right. We're looking forward to gather round.
Now, if anyone's out at gather round, make sure you look out for the Bevy Zone Swans superfan Sam. Jump on the socials. He's the one who does the halftime reports. He'll be doing a halftime report for us at gather round, of course. He sits with us in the Bevy crew at the O'Reilly Stand 3. So make sure if you see him, say hello. He's a great guy, and he will talk your face off about football. He loves it, absolutely loves it. So he'll be there. I think he's going to like every game, I suspect.
I think he's going deep this year.
Yeah,
he does that most years, but I think he's making a milestone event of it this year. God love him.
Oh, God bless him. Good, go to Swam. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for listening in to the end. Although this was a frustrating game with the loss to the Tigers, there's always plenty of things to talk about, so we make sure we get through all of it. If you've lasted through the whole potty, we must have done something good. So please give us a like, follow us on your favourite social medias.
Otherwise, make sure to keep an eye out for all our releases during the week, including team's announcement tomorrow, as well as a bunch of game day stuff too.
And as always, we look forward to seeing you wherever you are. We'll see you at Gather Round. But until then, up the Bloods and can you Swatties?
Come on, let's go.